Hello and welcome to Success is Never Accidental. I'm Lynn Payton and I'm passionate about helping individuals and organizations to be more successful, to get better outcomes, and to feel more fulfilled. And in this podcast, I get to interview some highly successful leaders across all sectors and internationally so that you can better understand what is their formula for success and identify some of the common factors. But nothing changes without action. So each episode includes a challenge to you to reflect, to evaluate, to decide, and to act. In other words, to do something different going forward. Today, I'm joined by a true industry pioneer. Jesse Toprak, CEO and founder of OptiCar, is one of the most respected voices in the global automotive market. Jesse's career spans 2 decades at the intersection of technology, data, and consumer behaviour. He has led analytics and strategy for major automotive brands, and now through OptiCar, he's redefining how AI can transform the car buying experience. In this conversation, we'll explore Jesse's journey from analyst to entrepreneur, the leadership principles that have shaped his success, and how artificial intelligence is reshaping the future. Jesse, thank you so much for joining us this evening and taking time out of such a hectic schedule. You are so welcome.
It's my pleasure, Lynn. Thanks for the invitation.
So, what is the weather like in LA today?
I don't know if you want to know. It's another beautiful 20, 25-degree, perfect heaven-like temperature, sunny. Though we did have a rain after about 6 months of absence yesterday, so that was welcomed.
Well, you needed it. Well, you're right. It's gloomy and grey and that awful Irish mizzly rain today. So we'd all rather be in LA with you. Jesse, take us back to the early days because you were born and educated in Turkey and then you came to the United States. What was it like transitioning to a new country and starting over? What were some of the challenges?
Yes, I was actually going to an American university in English in Istanbul. In fact, I was trained to be a diplomat. That was my undergraduate education. I did my internship at NATO headquarters in Brussels. It was 1993. This was a time where NATO was bringing in all of these Eastern European countries into the fold. It's called the Partnership for Peace. And after that, I got a scholarship to come to US in my senior year. And they said, you're going to Beloit, Wisconsin, to a small college named Beloit College. I didn't know where Wisconsin was. I didn't know where Beloit was, but I figured it's free, can't be that bad. So I went. And then, long story short, I changed my focus in life from diplomacy to business around that time. I started doing my MBA. And yes, it was a bit of a more of a culture shock than I think it will be for any youngster today, just due to the nature of internet, global culture. It's not quite like it wasn't quite like that at all. So I had to get used to coming from a big city like Istanbul, where there's people no matter what time of the day. You can get out 2 in the morning, there'll be millions of people like ants everywhere to come to a small town in Wisconsin where I thought I was in Twilight Zone the first I arrived. There's nobody around. Where's everybody? Where'd everybody go? I was the only one walking around. So I think the lack of people was something to get used to, particularly in a small town in Midwest. But you adjust. I think I always felt like I was a world citizen. I didn't really quite get the whole, well, I was born in this particular patch of dirt, so I must stick to it, and this is me now. Didn't register that well, even from early ages. I always questioned why are we doing things. So for me, I think it was a natural and rather easy progression.
And isn't it amazing how sort of what seemingly small decisions at certain times in our youth or in our early adulthood actually start to shape our future? That was a massive change to go from diplomacy to business. Having said that, you have been an incredible business mogul. Tell us a little bit about how you got into the car industry.
So that was a bit of an accident too, and it might be a good lesson for perhaps younger people that might be listening to this. So I went to the same college, small liberal arts college in Midwest called Beloit College. I went to my career counselor, And that's where they tell you what you should do with your life after you graduate. And he asked me, what type of jobs would you not want to do? Like just you just dread doing it. I said, well, door-to-door sales seems pretty miserable. And this is back then, you can still kind of do that. Now I don't think it works anymore that well, you know. Uh, in Midwest, you could actually do it. So he says, you ought to do that. Go try it because you don't have to do it forever. Just see how it feels. Because everything else you do as a job after that in your life is going to be easier compared to that miserable time you've had. And you learn from it.
Yeah, I just want to let you know that if I had followed that career guidance, I would have been a hairdresser because I got sent to my career advisor by my mother when I was like in fifth year in grammar school. And they were saying, could you just please talk her out of being a hairdresser? So, I mean, I probably would have been like you, really successful. I would have had a franchise by now. So,
Yeah, well, absolutely. So I listen, I think that if you have it, you have it. Whether you go through this path or this other path, you're going to end up at your destination anyway.
yeah, yeah.
So you probably had like chain of hairstyling, businesses across the world if you did that. So for me, okay, what I do now, so I'm like, I went to this business where they sell, I remember the brand actually was a Swedish brand called Electrolux. You might have heard of it. They sell
Yeah,
like
yeah.
high-end, vacuum cleaners and I guess hoovers and refrigerators, etc. So like, okay, so they don't really require much qualification. You just need to be able to breathe and function as a human for them to hire you. Just need a soul to go door to door. So I did that, and astonishingly, I really liked it. It was you go door to door, and this is, mind you, this is the Midwest cold, negative 20 degrees, whatever, snowing. I'm going door to door with my vacuum cleaner, trying to get into the house for an opportunity to show how my vacuum that I'm carrying now is way better than yours. I had to dig dirt to compare how much your rug had that I just vacuumed with your old vacuum, etc.
But we're laughing at that experience, Jesse. But what did you learn about connecting with people, influencing folks, selling your product?
Yeah, it was about listening really. And what transition happened, the way I ended up in the car business, I figured out through the vacuum sales, which I did quite well. Oh, I know them for like 3 months, to be honest, but it got me the idea of it. Like, okay, so I figured I didn't know that I liked sales because I'd never done it. I'm like, okay, so I like this. What I don't like is going finding people that I need to sell to. Where do I go where people come to me to buy things? Like car dealership. They come to you to buy a car.
Mhm.
So a little walk into car dealership, I explain what I'm interested in, and my interview with my sales manager at the time was like, "Do you have any experience selling cars in the U.S.?" I'm like, "Honestly, no." Says just start tomorrow. It's fine. And all I did, so going back to your question, is what I've observed was other salespeople were talking themselves out of a sale. They just wanted to hear themselves talk. However, all you need to do as a salesperson, and this is true in fundraising, running companies, whatever you're doing, whether you're selling $100 item or $100 billion item, does not matter. You need to understand and match the needs of your audience to what you can offer. That's all you ought to do. Minimize the talk, minimize the nonsense. People have this intuition, they can sense nonsense. Be real and get them a real solution that helps them. So that's what I did. And I didn't even know what exactly I was selling, what model it was at first. I learned afterwards. But then they had like 40 salespeople at the dealership. I was always in the top three. And that also lasted only about 3 months because in the meantime, I had started doing my MBA, my master's program in business. So when the dealership management realized, well, this guy can probably do more productive work in the back end in the management, they put me into the finance manager position, who's the guy who gets loans and leases for the car transactions and does the paperwork, etc. So I excelled at that for a while. And long story short, I ended up running multiple car dealerships in Midwest for about 6 years. And that foundation led me to the startup world around 99, 2000, the whole dot-com boom, as we know. And it was a good time. I moved to LA exactly 25 years ago, actually. And ever since then, I've been involved in tech startups within the automotive business.
So, whenever you were building those different dealerships, obviously you brought about significant change. Now, most leaders talk about embracing change, but they're not very good at leading people through change. Tell us a little bit about how you manage to engage the workforce and actually bring them with you to be more successful.
Yeah, talking about the teamwork, right? So what we're looking at here is so team development is absolutely critical because individual success is a ceiling. There's only so much one person can accomplish alone, right? So the difference between a group of talented individuals and a high performance team is development. You need to have shared vision, clear communication, complementary skills, and also psychological safety to innovate and fail fast. I've seen brilliant founders fail because they never invested in developing their teams behind, hiring smart people. And I've also seen average talent achieve extraordinary results because they built a culture of continuous learning and grow from it. So what I try to do is learn quickly, adapt, and execute together.
Mhm. And it's so interesting because in my world, which is mainly the health and social care and mental health sector, we talk a lot about ensuring psychological safety for staff and creating safe spaces. Interestingly, you are likening that same need for that space for people in industry. Tell us a little bit more about what needs to happen for people to actually feel safe at work.
You need to set the example as a leader to encourage people to speak up and truly listen. Again, just listening skill is going to help you across the board. That's going to be the theme of this, if nothing else. You got to listen to your team members, you got to listen to your clients and encourage input, but also show that you incorporate the input in action. Because I've had a lot of meetings where in previous companies for car companies, for example, where I brought a lot of ideas. I'll give you an example. When I was at True Car that we successfully took public from a startup, I had a lot of ideas about what to do with the business next. And I will speak up and I'll try to share my ideas about how to innovate the business and grow it further. And all of these, big sort of managerial meetings, like great idea, but we got to worry about our bonus this quarter. This is going to take 4 quarters to build. So let's just punt it for now. We
Mm.
just postpone it. And then at the end, I got frustrated. I left and started my own startup that did all of the ideas that they didn't want to do and successfully got acquired in 3 years. So sometimes what happens is that you got to listen to your people because they may actually have good ideas, but they have to feel safe and protected while they do so.
Absolutely. So then you had massive success. And now with OptiCar, you're transforming the whole business of buying a car. So tell us a little bit about how you're using AI to change the whole experience of purchasing a car.
Yeah, so this is OptiCar project is based on all of these learnings last 25, 30 years. And now we have all these nifty tools available to us that we have access to that we didn't just maybe 2, 3 years ago. So the idea was that I had a whole list of products to offer, solutions to offer within the automotive business, but they were not effectively being addressed due to lack of technology.
Mhm.
So 2 years ago, we started the OptiCar project at opticar.ai. If anyone wants to check it out, it's still in the alpha phase, but you can play around with it. So a few things we did. It's really designed to be a hub for anything that you need within the automotive world. So no matter where you're at in your car ownership cycle, whether you own a car already and you need some help managing your car life, or you're looking for a car, you need some help figuring out what to get, to listings. We have over 5 million listings already. To my knowledge, it's the most of any site. This is a US only, but soon we plan to go UK and beyond. And some differentiating tools we have now, we have a tool called Price 360. And this is the first product that combines a computer vision based inspection tool that determines you take a few photos with your smartphone around the car, and our computer vision system detects if there are any imperfections on the vehicle, scratches, dents, anything that the car might have, figures out how severe those damages are, calculates based on the current prices in the marketplace, how much it's going to get to fix it, to recondition it, and that also pulls vehicle history report. So these are reports like People might be familiar with that Carfax, Equifax. We have what they have, but basically we have the history report plus the computer vision inspection, as well as a market value that we derive from millions of sales. So you get the value, you get the history report and inspection.
And I loved it. I played about with your site a little bit there, and I figured out that that there were two or three cars that I wanted in my price range, the specific car, and then I could choose the color and I thought, amazing, you don't have to trail around car showrooms. You can just do this all online. But lots of people are fearful about AI. We know that it's bringing massive benefits, Jesse, but help me understand, or help our listeners understand, give us your perspective on where it's all heading. How are we going to embrace it in a way that isn't replacing human capability and still stays ethical and moral and all the things that you and I hold dear? What's the way forward?
It's gonna be tough. So I would love to say that all the jobs will be fine and we're gonna figure it out, but I think about this on a daily basis for my own business as well, and I cannot see a path, unfortunately, that keeps everybody employed at the current numbers. And I think what we need to do is build those networks, safety mechanisms for individuals so that they are trained in areas that are going to be in demand,
Mhm.
and you don't leave anybody behind. Now, the beauty of this is for startups that have very small to non-existent budgets with brilliant minds that will normally need to access millions of dollars in funding to do anything. You can get a lot done with very little money nowadays, just to see if there's demand for your idea. So
Mhm.
that's brilliant. That's something that didn't exist. We didn't have that luxury before. So a lot of good things about it. The bad things about it, and I'll give you an idea. We were looking at feasibility of calculating total cost of ownership for thousands of vehicles in the US. Basically, how much does it cost for me to drive this vehicle around, including depreciation, fuel costs, repairs, etc. I did this back in Edmunds days, 25 years ago. I had a team of 40 developers, statisticians, and data analysts that worked on this for over a year. I did the same thing now. It took us a week with two people.
Wow. Wow. So that
So
really shows how far we've come.
incredible. So now the obviously downside here is that all those other people I don't need them.
Mhm.
But in terms of a startup founder, it's a massive advantage now. I can do this pretty much alone or just with one person supervising it. So it really depends on your perspective if you're a business owner. So this is probably a tough angle, but it almost pushes people to be their own boss on
Mhm.
what they're good at. So this is, I think, what the key thing is. The salaried jobs, people go to job 9 to 5. I don't know how long that's going to last, just because of the nature of and the speed of improvement with AI. No matter how much we say about, there needs to be rules to protect people. I think EU does a good job in protecting jobs overall. US does not.
Mhm.
US just brutal. Like in the first opportunity the employers have, they just let people go because they can. There's no really safeguards against it.
Mhm.
So I think we need to encourage people to, from a young age, to figure out what their passion is, turn that passion into a, a commercial enterprise. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to make billions, it's okay, but it might still be working at, a fast food joint for minimum wage. And be good at that, market that, because that's going to be your safety net. If you are working somewhere, you're always going to be at the mercy of that employer. And that's the reality. How it doesn't matter how good you are. And things aren't what it used to be. You used to get into a company for life, you retire, and you're good. Now, really good, really experienced people are being let go because of really sometimes greed, sometimes there's just no need for them due to tools that AI brought up.
But let's go back to that. So if people have to be more self-starters now, let's talk about what disciplines and habits are going to be needed to start your own business or just to be more entrepreneurial generally. Success is never accidental, it's intentional. What
Mhm.
kind of habits and disciplines are people going to need to be successful?
Well, I will say if you have an idea, you start building your own company sooner. Don't wait until you feel Incode's ready. I spent 9 years at Edmunds building incredible tools for that company, but it was for someone else. I learned a lot from it,
Mhm.
and then I spent another 3 years building TrueCar. So it took about 12 years for me to build CarHub, my own startup in 2014 from all these learnings. And back, I was already in my 40s, early 40s then, right? If I had understood this in my 30s, you already know more than you think.
Mm,
Waiting for perfect certainty is just fear disguised as prudence.
mm,
I had the domain expertise, I had the pattern recognition, I had the work ethic much earlier. What I lacked was confidence to bet on myself.
mm, mm,
So the skills that I need to develop first, I actually developed them by doing, not by waiting. So
mm.
I would say, my advice to people now and my younger self will be that um, if you have a clear vision of a problem that needs solving and you're willing to figure it out as you go, start now. Not next year when you have more experience, not when the market is perfect, not when you save more money. Now, because the biggest risk isn't failing, it is looking back at your later years and realizing you waited whole life for permission that was never coming.
And that is a fundamental principle, isn't it? That don't worry about failing because all learning is based on we try something, it didn't work, so we try something different next time. And we've become very risk averse, I think, as a society, which is what holds people back from taking action, from giving it a go, from taking a chance. How would you say your definition of success has changed over time, Jesse?
Very good question. So the definition of success definitely evolves. Early on, I measured success by what I built for others. Then I needed to prove that I could build and exit my own company.
Mhm.
Now, success is about impact. Am I solving problems that genuinely move the industry forward? And that's why I'm back building OptiCar and other exciting projects. But success, as you said, is not luck. It's, I would say, it's pattern recognition plus action
Uh-huh.
from the word. So every major win I've had so far came from spotting what the industry needed 2, 3 years before they knew they needed it, then building relentlessly towards their future.
Yeah. And action is the key, isn't it? But you've got to know what direction you're going in. And you're a master of data analysis. So it is really important that our action is informed by reliable intelligence and information.
Mm. Absolutely. That's actually my angle in selling anything from projects to sales. Once I build a project to an idea, the way I encode sell is make the data that supports your arguments so strong, so irrefutable that when you present to the audience you're targeting, they will look silly saying no to it.
Great. That's a great way of looking at it. You're probably we've met a few times now, and you're probably one of the most successful. You have achieved considerable wealth, and yet you're one of the hardest working people I know. Your work schedule is brutal. What do you do to keep yourself motivated every day? What drives you to keep going at this pace?
Well, I think it's the passion of building things, and some people are theorists, some people are builders. That's what I feel is the differences. There are a lot of brilliant people with a lot of ideas that just don't know how to execute or afraid. And I see so many people who never ship, as we call it in the tech industry, build and execute. They wait for perfect conditions, right? So they wait for perfect timing, perfect funding, but success goes to people who act on 70% certainty and iterate from there. Every company I ever built started with imperfect information and a willingness to figure out as we went. So it's that courage, it's that grit. Is it automatic early on in your career? No. Boy, it's scary. Boy, it's tough. But that's what makes the difference between someone who tries a couple times. I just met with a friend who's had a startup. It had successful exits in the past. He built something that I think is going to do well. But just to give you an idea, he had 78 investor meetings for the last 2 years. Got 78 no's. He just got a term sheet signed yesterday for about a $5 million seed round deal. So should you have given up? Right. So I know stuff, but if you are not delusional, you're mentally healthy, and you know for sure that your idea has merit, you've done your homework, and you got the skill set and expertise, you got to keep going.
Jesse, thank you for sharing all those insights and such an inspirational journey, not just in terms of technology and business, but also about passion and purpose and persistence. And I think what really, really comes across is that we must take action, but it has to be informed action. But it's like, don't sit on it, don't wait, get out there and give it a go.
No, absolutely. Just go out, start today, take some notes, make your business plan, look at the marketplace. What is your addressable market? But again, use your tools, be smart. There are a lot of tools available to anybody now. Just start building something. You can build something in a week and see if anybody even cares about your idea. That's the thing. Like you can do that really cheaply, where it used to be you needed a whole team, a lot of funding just to test to see if there's a market for your idea. You can do that now in a few days. Do it. If it fails, move on to the next idea or iterate, but execute.
Super. Execute. Jesse Toprak, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We really, really appreciate those insights. There were so many great lessons in that interview with Jesse Toprak. First of all, he said success is predicated on understanding and matching the needs of your audience to what you have to offer. So that's very, very important. And then he said, individual success has a ceiling. There's only so much we can achieve by ourselves. So we need to work in teams. But teams are effective teams. It's not just that they have a group of talented people, it's that they also have a shared vision, that they have great communication, that they have complementary skills. And then he said also that there's psychological safety to innovate and fail fast. And he talked a lot about the importance of innovation, failing, checking things out, and trying something else. He also talked about how important it is as leaders that we encourage people within the team to speak up and that we listen to and incorporate and put their input into action. He talked about AI and how we have to recognize the potential impact of AI. And interestingly, he said we've got to train people for the roles that are going to be in demand in the future. And especially for young people, he encouraged them to be more business-minded and to explore opportunities, to have a go, to believe in themselves. And then for all of us, there was a profound statement where he said, don't disguise fear as prudence. He said the biggest risk isn't failing, it's looking back years later and seeing all the wasted opportunities because we didn't take action. And it's his passion for innovation and building things that impact on people's lives that still drives his relentless work ethic. And Jesse said, regardless of what sector you're in, start adapting to the tools and technology that are available because they will help you to get further faster. So my challenge for you this week is for those of you in business or those of you with a product idea, start testing them today. Analyze whether they're meeting an existing or emerging need and implement. And remember, success goes to those who are intentional. So learn quickly, adapt, and execute.